Do you ever feel like you have the desire to support families gently, but you feel like the gaps in your knowledge are holding you back? We hear this a lot from amazing, caring people who are looking to make a real difference for tired families, but they feel like they're failing because there's something missing. I hear from hundreds of parents that they asked for a gentle approach to sleep, but when the really basic tools in the box didn't seem to yield results, they default back to non-responsive sleep training because while the sleep consultant they hired was willing to support a gentle approach in theory, it turned out they didn't have enough strategies up their sleeve. Make sure you stick with me till the end because I'll be sharing why it's not the responsive, holistic approach that's not working, but the depth of the toolbox you're holding. You can have all the kindness and drive to prioritise responsiveness you want, but if you don't have the know-how, you risk feeling like a fraud and you're unable to make a real impact. I'm Lindsay, Clinical Director of the Holistic Sleep Coaching Programme, and I'm proud to have trained over 600 professionals who all have a deep, full toolkit of responsive strategies so that they can achieve success without resorting to non-responsive sleep training every time. If this kind of sleep support is how you'd love to work, then this is the place to be. We're the first to admit that we're not for everyone, and that's okay, but we provide an alternative approach because traditional mainstream sleep training approaches aren't hitting the spot, and not just for one or two people, but for thousands of families. The problem with mainstream sleep approaches is that they generally take a behavioural approach. This means that they're based on 1920s behaviourist theory, which basically suggests that behaviours are created and then reinforced by triggers. These so-called triggers need to be denied in order to eliminate the behaviour. If you'd like to learn more about this, check out our earlier video linked below that really digs into this. Essentially, the behaviourist approach is largely responsible for many guilt-inducing concepts that are now unfortunately commonplace in the sleep world, like sleep association, which is never far from the even worse sleep prop or bad habit that we so often hear. The traditional approach to sleep disregards the complexity of human relationships, attachment, connection, co-regulation, and of course, realistic expectations when you're talking about immature and still developing small humans. The other problem with this approach is that it very much focuses only on sleep basics, leaving many of these more complex factors out of the equation. So what is left out with a mainstream approach? And why does this mean that a mainstream sleep trainer trying to offer a gentle approach without holistic sleep coach training will find their toolbox running on empty? Well, a traditional approach usually operates not only within the behaviourist paradigm, but also within a narrow expectation of sleep habits. Many of the suggestions so commonplace within mainstream sleep training, such as early bedtimes, 7 till 7 sleep, early night weaning, long naps in the dark, and prescriptive nap timings only work for a minority of children, mostly those with easy temperaments and high sleep needs. There's usually some focus on bedtime routines, sleep hygiene, ruling out obvious sleep pathology, and a cursory look at obvious medical red flags. What's not accounted for in depth is the range of temperament, the interplay between parent and child personality, parental mental health, family dynamics and interpersonal relationships, social support, variable sleep needs, culture, nutrition, wider health concerns, physical activity, sensory development, realistic and biologically appropriate feeding, play and stimulation, loving boundaries consistent with prioritizing attachment, as well as connection and regulation. The problem is that if you're not aware of that long list of factors that affect sleep, you're missing about 50 tools that you can leverage to support sleep responsively. If you're trained in that mainstream sleep paradigm without a wide understanding of all the non-sleep aspects, you're going to find yourself feeling hamstrung. If your client wants a responsive approach, but all you've got is a behaviourist toolkit with some basic aspects of sleep hygiene, you're probably going to feel reduced to a few well-known strategies that are more on the gentle end of the spectrum. But as anyone who supports sleep will understand, it's not enough to know just a few sleep strategies. You have to know how to integrate it all together into a family-centred, compassionate, individualised approach. So families who are asking for a gentle, holistic approach aren't getting what they wanted. And meanwhile, the sleep coaches who long to be able to offer this kind of support feel frustrated and stuck. This is where holistic sleep coaching can be the answer, with a proper grounding in all those related aspects, some of which directly relate to sleep and some of which are indirectly related. You can really build out a comprehensive and effective package of care for families. But let me explain the 4 major reasons why you might want to consider this approach. 1. Nothing gets left out. You'll feel safe knowing you've explored all the avenues you need to. Sometimes sleep success comes from making one less than obvious shift. Other times, the transformation comes from tweaking 20 tiny aspects of daily life and fine-tuning multiple factors. Through knowing what related variables impact sleep, you can effectively change sleep patterns and improve quality of life via multiple routes. 2. Families are asking for this. This is a biggie. It's not just our personal preference to utilise a responsive approach. Families are seeking out the services of holistic sleep coaches. They've heard about it and they know this is what they want. They don't want to settle for a mainstream approach. They want someone who understands and knows the importance of responsiveness and attachment and is just as invested as they are in keeping this front and centre. 3. It's a more rewarding way to work. Most sleep coaches go into this role because they love supporting families. They love making a difference. They're empathetic and kind. I'm sure you can relate if you've watched this far. But imagine how much more rewarding it is when you achieve great results without needing to use non-responsive strategies and your clients love you for it. And 4, you get happy, confident families. This is what we're all here for, isn't it? Holistic sleep coaching doesn't just help families achieve optimal sleep, but it builds parental confidence and gives them a lifelong toolbox of tricks to use as their child grows up. That's because being empowered with the confidence to lean into intuition, develop curiosity about child behaviour, and learn how to find ways to connect in a meaningful way aren't just tools for now, they're tools for life. So today, I've talked about why a traditional sleep coaching approach leaves many families shortchanged and many mainstream sleep consultants feeling frustrated. A mainstream approach leaves out numerous aspects of lifestyle, health and well-being that have the potential to transform sleep. Without the knowledge of these levers to pull, you're denied the opportunity to support families in a way that is truly holistic and responsive. If you're interested in fully expanding your toolkit with our holistic approach, then we would love to hear from you. The first step is to book a call and see if we're a good fit. All you need to do is click the link below this video. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Speak to you soon.